Will Smith was born in 1968 in an ordinary family in Philadelphia, United States. From the outside, their family seemed quite normal, even happy. But behind that smiling facade, there was a terrifying reality, a fear etched into the mind of a child, one that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Will's father was an extremely angry and authoritarian man. He would lose control over even the smallest matters. The atmosphere inside the house was always tense. No one knew when a storm might erupt. Growing up in this unstable environment, Will learned at a very young age to stay silent, to curl into himself, and to try to please others, because that was the only way to survive. But the most terrifying experience came when Will was just 9 years old. One day, he witnessed his father physically abusing his mother. As a child, the scene was beyond his capacity to endure. He could do nothing. He could not scream. He could not intervene. He just stood there and watched. In that moment, his body froze and his voice was silenced. This silence saved him physically, but it broke his spirit. From that event onward, a deep sense of guilt took root in Will's mind. He repeatedly asked himself, "Why didn't I do something? Why couldn't I protect my mother?" He never found answers to these questions. Slowly, he blamed himself. In his own eyes, he became a coward, a word he would use years later to describe himself. This childhood trauma deeply shaped Will Smith's personality. Making people laugh, keeping everyone happy, lightening situations, these were not just entertainment for him, but a form of defense. He believed that if everyone laughed, anger would decrease, violence would not occur, and no one would get hurt. Yet deep inside, that little boy still lived, the boy who once stood frozen in fear, who could never forgive himself. These invisible wounds silently influenced many of Will Smith's decisions, relationships, and internal struggles, hidden behind the confident smile of the superstar we see on screen. Seeking escape from childhood fear, silence, and guilt, Will Smith chose music. In the 1980s, he became known alongside DJ Jazzy Jeff, and from there, a new identity was born: DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Will's rap was different. There was no cursing, no violence, just humor, storytelling, and an attempt to look at life lightly. Very quickly, they became popular among young audiences. They made history, becoming the first rap artists to win a Grammy Award. At that moment, it felt as if Will Smith's life had finally taken the right path. The boy who once stood frozen in fear was now celebrating victory in front of the entire world. But with this success came sudden wealth, and with that wealth came a dangerous illusion. By the age of 20, Will began earning more money than he had ever imagined. He assumed this success would last forever. He saw no need to think about the future, and so began a reckless lifestyle, luxury, extravagant spending, and the gravest mistake of all, neglecting taxes. No one had taught him how to manage money. No one had warned him that behind success lies rules, responsibility, and accountability. And Will, at that time, was not in a position to listen. The consequences were severe. Eventually, he realized that the money, which had once seemed like a mountain, was nearly gone. Burdened by tax evasion, fines, and poor decisions, he effectively became bankrupt. The lights of success began to fade. The people who once saw him as a winner gradually drifted away. This downfall was Will Smith's first harsh life lesson. It was during this time that he realized a hard truth: talent alone is not enough to sustain life. Without discipline, responsibility, and self-control, success cannot last. This bankruptcy didn't break him, rather it made him realistic. This shock taught him that to rebuild one's life, it takes more than just charm or talent. It requires control, hard work, and sound decisions. And from the ruins of this downfall, another Will Smith was born.
the one who would go on to carve a place for himself in Hollywood, though the bitter taste of failure would forever linger in his story. After bankruptcy, failure, and shattered pride, one question remained: what now? At that exact moment, an unexpected opportunity arrived, one that would change his destiny. On television, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air began. This series was more than just a comedy show. It was Will Smith's second life. He poured the humor, pain, and self-preservation of his real life into the show, giving it a new form. For the first time, audiences saw a young man who was funny yet sensitive beneath the surface. Through this character, Will not only became popular, but he also learned to trust himself again. The man who had once lost everything was standing back up. Television success quickly led him to the doors of Hollywood, and then the explosions began, one blockbuster after another. Independence Day, where he became a world-saving hero. Men in Black, where his charisma and comic timing elevated him further. Bad Boys, where he proved unstoppable in both action and style. These films didn't just make Will Smith a superstar, they made him a global icon, an actor whose name alone could guarantee a hit. At one point, it was said in Hollywood, if Will Smith is in it, people will watch it. Yet even amidst this success, a restlessness lingered inside him. He knew that being remembered only as a blockbuster star would not satisfy him. He wanted to prove that he was not just a celebrity, he was an artist. That desire led him to Ali. Portraying Muhammad Ali, Will poured himself fully into the role, showing how deeply he could inhabit a character. With physical exertion and mental preparation, he broke himself down and rebuilt himself through the role. Then came The Pursuit of Happiness, the story of a struggling father who sleeps on the streets with his son but never abandons his dreams. In this film, Will Smith found a reflection of his own life. Loss, struggle, humiliation, hope, it all culminated in one of his most human performances. Through these films, Will Smith proved that he is not just a man of laughter, not just an action hero, he is an actor who can touch the hearts of people. But fate is cruel. As higher as he rose, his inner wounds stirred again. Childhood trauma, guilt, and battles with self-esteem never truly disappear. And these invisible struggles would one day lead him to a moment the whole world would witness, a moment that would become the most controversial chapter of his life. The night of 2022, Hollywood's most prestigious stage, the Oscars, Will Smith's greatest recognition yet. When his name was announced for his outstanding performance in King Richard, it felt like the culmination of his long struggle. Childhood fear, bankruptcy, mental battles, all had led him to this victorious moment in front of the world. But that very night, just minutes before, something happened that stunned the world. Comedian Chris Rock was on stage joking, making a comment about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. In an instant, Will Smith left his seat, went onto the stage, and on live television, in front of cameras, he slapped Chris Rock. One moment, one decision, and everything changed. In that 1 second, decades of Will Smith's career, his carefully cultivated image of a good man, a family hero, a role model, all came into question. People didn't see the superstar, they saw a human being who lost control of his emotions. Some called it an outburst of anger, others said it was an attempt to protect honor, but looking deeper, it was the eruption of wounds long buried. The boy who once stood frozen in fear of his father's violence, the boy who could not protect his mother, that guilt was still inside him. Many psychologists say that night, Will Smith wasn't just slapping a comedian, he was proving to that helpless child in his past, I will not stay silent this time. But reality was harsh. That Oscar night, meant for triumph, became the greatest shame of his life. The Academy of Motion Picture Atmospheres banned him from Oscars and all Academy events for 10 years. His reputation, credibility, and hard-earned prestige collapsed in an instant. In one moment, he went from hero to controversial figure, inspiration to cautionary tale. When he stood holding the Oscar and crying, those tears were not just joy, they were tears of shame, regret, and self-breaking. The world watched a legend who, at the highest peak of his life, had fallen into the deepest pit. This moment proved that no matter how great the fame, past wounds and uncontrolled emotion can take everything away in an instant. In the eyes of the world, Will Smith was a successful man. Fame, money, respect, all were his. But in his own eyes, he knew there were areas where he had failed, and the greatest of these failures was his first marriage. Will himself admitted that the breakup of his first marriage was the biggest failure of his life.